The sixth hope from the 26th flash. One time, during my distressing captivity, I was alone on the top of Chamdağı, the pine mountain, in the mountains of Barla, having withdrawn from the company of man. I was searching for a light in my loneliness. One night, on the small platform at the top of a tall pine tree, on the summit of that high mountain, old age recalled to me 3 or 4 exiles, one within the other. As is described in the 6th letter, the melancholy sound of the rustling, murmuring trees on that lonely, silent, distant night affected me grievously in my old age and exile. Old age gave me the following thought: like the day changed into this black grave, and the world donned its black shroud, the daytime of your life, too, will turn into night, and the daytime of the world turn into the night of the intermediate realm, and summertime of life will be transformed into the winter night time of death. It whispered this in my heart's ear. My soul was then obliged to say, yes, I am far from my native land, but being separated from all those I have loved during my 50 years lifetime who have died, and remaining weeping for them is a far more grievous and sorrowful exile than the exile from my country. Moreover, I am drawing close to a much sadder and more painful exile than the melancholy exile of the night and the mountain. Old age informs me that I am approaching the time of separation from the world. I then sought a light, a hope from these sorrowful exiles, one within the other. Suddenly, belief in God came to my assistance and afforded such a familiarity that, even if the compounded desolation in which I found myself increased 1,000-fold, its consolation would have been sufficient. Elderly men and women, since we have a compassionate Creator, there can be no exile for us. Since He exists, everything exists for us. Since He exists, the angels exist. The world is not empty. Lonely mountains and empty deserts are full of Almighty God's servants. Apart from His conscious servants, stones and trees become like familiar friends when seen through His light and on His account. They may converse with us and give us enjoyment. Yes, evidences and witnesses to the number of beings in the universe and to the number of the letters of this vast book of the world testify to the existence of our all-compassionate, beneficent, intimate, loving Creator, Maker, and Protector. They show us His mercy to the number of living creatures, members, foods, and bounties, which may be a means of receiving His compassion, mercy, and favor, and indicate His court. Impotence and weakness are the most acceptable intercessor at His court, and old age is precisely the time of impotence and weakness. So, one should not feel resentful at old age, which is thus an acceptable intercessor at a court, but love it. Below are a few of the letters written by Bediüzzaman Said Nursi and the passages by some of the scribes who disseminated the Risale-i Nur with their handwriting. A short, private letter that may be added as a supplement to the 3rd matter of the 28th letter. My brothers of the hereafter and hard-working students, Hüsrev Efendi and Refet Bey, we pursued 3 instances of Qur'anic wonder working in the lights of the Qur'an, known as the words. Now, through your effort and enthusiasm, you have caused a 4th to be added. The 3 I know are these. The first is the extraordinary ease and speed in their writing. The 19th letter was written in 2 or 3 days, working for 3 or 4 hours each day, making a total of 12 hours, without any other book, in the mountains and orchards. The 30th word was written in 5 or 6 hours at the time of illness. The 28th word, the discussion on paradise, was written in 1 or 2 hours in Süleyman's garden in the valley. Tevfik, Suleiman and I were astonished at this speed, and so on. And just as there is this wonder of the Qur'an in their composition. The second, so too in their being written out and copied there is an extraordinary facility, enthusiasm, and lack of burden. One of these words appears, and suddenly, although there are many things at this time to weary the mind and spirit, people in many places start to write it out with total enthusiasm. They prefer it to anything else despite other pressing occupations, and so on. The third Qur'anic wonder. The reading of the words does not cause burden either, especially when one feels the need for them. The more one reads them, the more pleasure one receives, feeling no weariness. Now you have proved a fourth Qur'anic wonder. A brother like Husrev, who was lazy, and although for 5 years he had heard about the words, did not start writing them seriously, in 1 month wrote out 14 books beautifully and carefully, which was doubtless the fourth wonder of the Qur'an's mysteries. He perfectly appreciated the value of the 33 windows, in particular, the 33rd letter, since it was written out most beautifully and carefully. Yes, it is a most powerful, brilliant piece for gaining knowledge of God and belief in God. Only the first windows are very concise and abbreviated, while the subsequent ones gradually unfold and shine more brilliantly. Contrarily to other writings, most of the words start off concisely and gradually expand and illuminate. The seventh matter of the 28th letter. In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate. Say, in the wonder of God and in His mercy, in that let them rejoice, that is better than the wealth they hoard. This matter consists of 7 signs, but firstly, in order to recount a number of divine bounties, we shall explain 7 reasons which disclose the meanings of several divine favors. First reason. Before the great war, or around the beginning of it, I had a true vision. In it, I was under the famous mountain of Ara, known as Mount Ararat. The mountain suddenly exploded with a terrible blast. Pieces the size of mountains were scattered all over the world. I looked and saw that, in that awful situation, my mother was beside me. I said to her, "Don't be frightened. This is happening at Almighty God's command, and He is all compassionate and all wise." Suddenly, while in that situation, I saw that a person of importance was commanding me, "Expound the Qur'an's miraculousness." I awoke, and I understood that there was going to be a great explosion and upheaval, and that, following it, the walls surrounding the Qur'an would be destroyed. The Qur'an would then defend itself directly. It was going to be attacked, and its miraculousness would be its steel armor. And in a way, surpassing his ability, someone like myself would be appointed at this time to reveal one sort of its miraculousness. I understood that I had been designated. Since the Qur'an's miraculousness has been expounded to an extent in the words, to set forth the divine favors received in our service, which are source of blessings and emanations of its miraculousness, will surely assist it and pass to its account, and should therefore be set forth. Second reason. The all-wise Qur'an is our guide, master, and leader, and shows us the way in all our conduct. So, since it praises itself, following its instruction, we shall praise its commentary. Furthermore, since the words that have been written are a sort of commentary on the Qur'an, and its treatises are the property of the Qur'an's truths and its realities, And since in most of its surahs, and particularly in the Alif, Lam, Ras, and Ha, Memes, the all-wise Qur'an displays itself in all its magnificence, tells of its own perfections, and praises itself in a way of which it is worthy, certainly we are charged with making known the flashes of the Qur'an's miraculousness that are reflected in the words, and the dominical favors that are a sign of that service's acceptance. For our Master does this and teaches us to do it. Third reason. I do not say this about the words out of modesty, but in order to explain a truth, that the truths and perfections in the words are not mine, they are the Qur'an's, and they have issued from the Qur'an. The 10th word, for instance, consists of a few droplets filtered from hundreds of verses, and the rest of the treatises are all like that. Since I know it is thus, and since I am transcendent, I shall depart, of course, something, a work which is enduring should not and must not be tied to me. And since it is the custom of the people of misguidance and rebellion to refute a work that does not suit their purposes by refuting its author, the treatises which are bound to the stars of the skies of the Qur'an should not be bound to a rodden post like me, who may be the object of criticism and disapproval and may fall. Also, it is generally the custom to search for the merits of a work in the qualities of its author, whom people suppose to be the work's source and origin. To attribute those elevated truths and brilliant jewels to a bankrupt like me, in keeping with that custom, and to my person, who could not produce 1,000th of them himself, is a great injustice towards the truth. I am therefore compelled to proclaim that the treatises are not my property, they are the Qur'an's property, and issuing from the Qur'an, they manifest its virtues. Yes, the qualities of delicious bunches of grapes should not be sought in their dry stalks. I resemble such a dry stalk. Fourth reason. Sometimes modesty suggests ingratitude for bounties. Indeed, is ingratitude for bounties. Then, sometimes recounting bounties is a cause of pride. Both are harmful. The only solution is for it to be neither. To admit to virtues and perfections, but without claiming ownership of them, is to show them to be the works bestowed by the true bestower. For example, suppose someone were to dress you in a robe of honor embroidered and encrusted with jewels, and you became very beautiful. The people then said to you, "What wonders God has weaved! How beautiful you are! How beautiful you have become!" But you modestly replied, "God forbid! Don't say such a thing. What am I? This is nothing." To do this would be ingratitude for the bounty and disrespectful towards skillful craftsmen who had dressed you in the garment. While if we were to reply proudly, "Yes, I am very beautiful. Surely there is no one to compare with me," that would be conceited pride. In consequence, to avoid both conceit and ingratitude, one should say, "Yes, I have grown beautiful. But the beauty springs from the robe, and thus indirectly from the one who clothed me in it. It is not mine." Like this, if my voice were strong enough, I would shout out to the whole earth, "The words are beautiful, they are truth, they are reality, but they are not mine. They are rays shining out from the truths of the noble Qur'an." In accordance with the principle of, I cannot praise Muhammad with my words, rather my words become praiseworthy through Muhammad. I say, I cannot praise the Qur'an with my words, rather my words become praiseworthy through the Qur'an. That is to say, I did not beautify the truths of the Qur'an's miraculousness. I could not show them beautifully. Rather, the Qur'an's beautiful truths made my words beautiful and elevated them. Since it is thus, it is acceptable to recount divine bounties and to make known in the name of the beauty of the Qur'an's truths the beauties of its mirrors known as the words, and the divine favors which comprise those mirrors. Fifth reason. A long time ago, I heard from one of the people of sainthood that he had divined from the obscure allusions of the saints of old, received from the unseen, that a light would appear in the east that would scatter the darkness of innovation. He was certain of this. I have long awaited the coming of the light, and I am awaiting it. But flowers appear in the spring, and the ground has to be prepared for such sacred flowers. I understood that, with this service of ours, we are preparing the ground for those luminous people. So, to proclaim the divine favors which pertain not to us, but to the lights called the words, should lead not to pride or conceit, but to praise and thanks, and to recounting the divine bounties. Sixth reason. Dominical favors, which are an immediate reward for our serving the Qur'an by means of the words, and an encouragement, are a success granted by God, and success should be made known. If they surpass success, they become a divine bestowal. To make known divine bestowal infers thanks. If they surpass that too, they become wonders of the Qur'an with no interference on the part of our wills. We have merely manifested them. It is harmless to make known wonders of this sort, which occur unheralded and without the intervention of will. If they surpass ordinary wonders, they become rays of the Qur'an's miraculousness. And since miraculousness may be made known, the making known of what assists the miraculousness passes to the account of the miraculousness, and cannot be the cause of any pride or conceit. It should rather be the cause of praise and thanks. Seventh reason. 80% of people are not investigative scholars who can penetrate to reality, recognize reality as reality, and accept it as such. They rather accept matters by way of imitation, that they hear from acceptable and reliable people in consequence of their good opinions of them. In fact, they look on a powerful truth as weak when in the possession of a weak man, while if they see a worthless matter in the possession of a worthy man, they deem it valuable. Because of this, in order not to reduce the value of the truths of faith and the Qur'an in the eyes of most people, since they are in the hands of a weak and worthless wretch like myself, I am compelled to proclaim that, outside our knowledge and will, someone is employing us. We are not aware of it, but he is making us work. My evidence is this. Outside our wills and consciousness, we manifest certain favors and facilities, in which case we are compelled to shout out and proclaim those favors. In consequence of the above 7 reasons, we shall point out several signs of universal dominical favors. First sign. Explained in the first point of the 8th matter of the 28th letter are the coincidences. For example, in the 19th letter, about the miracles of Muhammad, upon whom the blessings and peace, in a copy written by a scribe who was unaware of this factor, on 60 pages, with the exception of 2, from the 3rd to the 18th signs, more than 200 instances of the phrase, God's noble messenger, upon whom the blessings and peace, look to each other corresponding perfectly. Anyone fair who looks at 2 pages would confirm that they are not the product of mere chance. If many instances of the same word corresponded to each other on the same page, half would be chance and half coincidence. It would only be a whole coincidence if this occurred on more than 1 page. So, if 2, 3, 4, or even more instances of the phrase, God's noble messenger, upon whom blessings and peace, correspond to each other perfectly on all the pages, it surely is not possible for it to be chance. It shows too that a coincidence that 8 different scribes have been unable to spoil is a powerful sign from the unseen. Although the various degrees of eloquence are to be found in the books of the scholars of rhetoric and eloquence, the eloquence of the all-wise Qur'an has risen to the degree of miraculousness, and it is in no one's power to reach it. Similarly, the coincidences in the 19th letter, which is a mirror of the miracles of Muhammad, upon whom be blessings and peace, and in the 25th word, which is an interpreter of the miracles of the Qur'an, and in the various parts of the Risale-i Nur, which is a sort of commentary on the Qur'an, demonstrate a degree of singularity surpassing all other books. It is understood from this that it is a sort of wonder of the miraculousness of the Qur'an and the miracles of Muhammad, upon whom be blessings and peace, which is manifested and represented in those mirrors. Second sign. The second of the dominical favors pertaining to the service of the Qur'an is this: Almighty God bestowed on someone like me who has difficulty in writing, is semi-literate, alone, in exile, and barred from mixing with people, brothers as helpers who are strong, earnest, sincere, enterprising, and self-sacrificing, and whose pens are each like diamond swords. He placed on their powerful shoulders the Qur'anic duty that weighed heavily on my weak and powerless ones. Out of his perfect munificence, he lightened my lot. In Hulusi's words, that blessed community is like a collection of wireless and telegraph receivers, and in Sabri's, like the machines producing the electricity of the light factory. With their different virtues and worthy qualities, again in Sabri's words, manifesting a sort of coincidence proceeding from the unseen, they spread the mysteries of the Qur'an and lights of faith all around, reflecting each other's enthusiasm, effort, enterprise, and seriousness, making them reach everywhere. At this time, that is, when the alphabet has been changed, and there are no printing presses, and everyone is in need of the lights of belief, and there are numerous things to dispirit a person and destroy his enthusiasm, their unflagging service and sheer fervor and endeavor are directly a wonder of the Qur'an and a clear divine favor. Yes, just as sanctity has its wonders, so does a pure intention, so does sincerity, especially serious, sincere solidarity between brothers and brotherhood purely for God's sake. They produce numerous wonders. In fact, the collective personality of such a community may achieve the perfection of a saint and manifest divine favors. My brothers and my friends in the service of the Qur'an, just as it is unjust and wrong to give all the glory and all the booty to the sergeant of a company that conquers a citadel, so you should not ascribe the divine favors in the victories won through the strength of your collective personality and your pens to an unfortunate like myself. In fact, there is another indication of the unseen in such a blessed community, more powerful than the coincidences proceeding from the unseen, and I can see it, but I may not point it out to everyone at large. Third sign: the fact that the various parts of the Risale-i Nur prove the principal truths of belief, and the Qur'an in brilliant fashion to even the most obdurate person, is a powerful sign from the unseen and divine favor. For among those truths are some that Ibn Sina, who was considered the greatest genius, confessed his powerlessness to understand, saying, "Reason cannot solve this," whereas the 10th word explains what he could not achieve with his genius to ordinary people or even to children. And for example, a learned scholar like Sadeddin Taftazani could only solve the mystery of divine determining and man's will in 40 to 50 pages with the famous Muqaddimat-i Isna Ashar in his work Telvihat. Those same matters which he set out for the elite alone are explained completely in 2 pages in the second topic of the 26th verse, which is about divine determining, in a way that everyone can understand. If that is not a mark of divine favor, what is? There are also what are known as the mystery of world's creation and the riddle of the universe, which have perplexed everyone and no philosophy has been able to solve. Through the miraculousness of the Qur'an of mighty stature, that abstruse talisman and astonishing riddle are solved in the 24th letter and in the elusive point towards the end of the 29th verse, and in the 6 instances of wisdom in the transformations of minute particles explained in the 30th verse. They have disclosed and explained the mystery of the astonishing activity in the universe and the riddle of the universe's creation and its end, and the meaning and instances of wisdom in the motion and transformations of particles. They are there for all to see and may be referred to. Furthermore, the 16th and 32nd verse explain with perfect clarity the partnerless unity of dominicality through the mystery of divine oneness, together with the astonishing truths of infinite divine proximity and our infinite distance from God, while the exposition of the phrase, and he is powerful over all things, in the 20th letter and its addendum, which contains 3 comparisons, demonstrates self-evidently that minute particles and the planets are equal in relation to divine power, and that at the resurrection of the dead, the raising to life of all beings with spirits will be as easy for that power as the raising to life of a single soul, and that the intervention of any partner to God in the creation of the universe is so far from reason as to be impossible, thus disclosing a vast mystery of divine unity. Furthermore, although in the truths of belief and the Qur'an there is such a breadth that the greatest human genius cannot comprehend them, the fact that they appeared together with the great majority of their fine points through someone like me, whose mind is confused, situation wretched, has no book to refer to, and who writes with difficulty and at speed, is directly the work of the all-wise Qur'an's miraculousness, and a manifestation of dominical favor, and a powerful sign from the unseen.